Understanding and differentiating between depression and demonic possession is easy for some and complex for others. In some communities, someone with a mental health problem is given names such as irresponsible, crazy, drunken, lazy, demonic possessed, and many more. The lack of understanding of mental illness is the key factor in relationship handicaps and rising incidence of criminal activities. We always deal with the outcomes of mental illness rather than the causes. Welcome to Bean Television. I am Jimmy Bean. Tonight, we shall be discussing about depression and demonic possession, two distinct concepts. For the first part of our tonight's program is joining us live from the capital city of the Sunshine State, Sharon Orapelen, principal consultant at Site Solutions. Hello, Sharon.
Good morning, or good evening, good afternoon to anyone else around the world. We are all in different time zones, aren't we?
Sure,
Thank you.
sure.
Let me just, before we even go ahead, let me just acknowledge the traditional owners and traditional custodians of the country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community, and pay my respect to elders past, present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who may be watching this video as well. But also like to extend my acknowledgement to all traditional custodians of country all across the world and the indigenous communities all across the world, and recognize them as well. So I always like to start that before I get into all our conversations. But I am so honored to spend this morning with you talking about a topic that I'm very passionate about, which is mental health, even though we're talking especially about depression today.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Tell us what comes to your mind when a patient comes to you with a sad face.
You know, we often think that a sad face, and this is something that happens all across the world, we think a sad face is a key indicator of what depression or a mental health issue is. And it's not. A sad face, in fact, sadness is something that is an emotion that we all experience. And that emotion, often when we see it, when we hear it, because people might be able to tell you that they are feeling sad. In some communities, is my culture. In fact, sadness is described as which means I am feeling pain. So somehow we already, with the word sadness, we're linking it to an experience of an emotional pain. But that experience of emotional pain doesn't come on in a vacuum. It comes on to us because we're thinking of something that's happened to us that is causing us that pain, or we might be reflecting on what happened over the day from in a work experience, or a family. We're missing someone who's passed on, and we're feeling sad. We're feeling an emotional pain, and that emotional pain, when it's just sadness that is typical and normal for everybody, might just last for a few minutes, few moments, maybe a day. You're still feeling really unwell. That is something that is different from a mental illness. A mental illness or depression, as we're talking about, is when you're feeling that emotional pain and it's affecting your thinking, it's affecting your behaviors, your well-being, your ability to study or go to work, basically your ability to do your everyday chores, because that pain has become too intense. It is capsulating you into a cocoon, is putting you into a state where you are not able to enjoy the things that you used to do, and it's just not going away. And it lasts for at least 2 weeks. And most of the time, people, by the time they get help, this emotional pain has been going on for a very long time. So that is the difference between just sadness and an actual mental health issue or a depression. In fact, 1 in 8 people around the world, 1 in 8, the World Health Organization have said 1 in 8 people around the world will suffer from this emotional pain that goes on for a very long time, more than 2 weeks. And it's not just that. People are have no energy to do things. They feel tired. They feel worthless. Even they think about not being here. They wish they were dead. They think about death. They can't concentrate. They can't do things. They walk slowly. So even physically, to do things that you used to do becomes just too much.
So,
So
so what?
when somebody comes to me and I recognize the signs, one of the key things is recognizing those signs and saying, what's going on? How are you going? How are you traveling? Being a safe spaces for people to talk to us when they're experiencing an emotional pain.
So, what causes depression?
So many things can cause depression. Life, I often say, life itself is a risk factor for depression. Family history, our childhood experiences, socioeconomic factors, separations from divorce, separation from family, divorce, even having a baby is a risk factor for depression. Suffering from long-term serious physical illness, even effects of some other medical conditions, side effects of drugs and medicine, even something like lack of exposure to bright light because it's winter. Like when you look at these things that I'm just talking to you about, those are all risk factors for depression. So that is actually life. Life is a risk factor for depression. How we experience life and the challenges that comes with life put us at risk for depression.
So, what do you think can be done to treat depression?
I think it is, first of all, it is important to recognize that feeling sad or feeling that emotional pain for more than 2 weeks is not normal. Okay? That it just means things are not necessarily going okay with you. So we have to recognize it, not only on ourselves, but also recognize it on other people as well. When we're feeling that, we are not able to do just even a simple thing about going over to having a shower, and that becomes an effort to you because you just want to keep sleeping and you're sleeping over and over. You don't want to go to work. Life has just become too tough. You don't want to face the world, so you retreat from your social connections, you retreat from your church, you retreat from your work, you retreat from your studies, because isolation start to feel much more comfortable. And you just know joy in life. When you recognize that, one of the very first thing, regardless of where you are in the world, is for you to go to your doctor. Go to your doctor. People say to me, but doctors treat physical illness. And I said, well, doctors treat physical illness as well as mental health issues. Your GP, your doctor, sees the whole of you. Your physical health is actually not separate from your mental health because you are the whole human being. Your thoughts, your feelings impact on everything about you. So when you go to your GP, somehow we've been told, or I don't know why, that we can't discuss issues of mental health and our emotional issues with their GPs. These are people who are trained to hear us, to walk with us when life becomes a pain and we experience pain of life. And GPs, and of course, are not psychiatrists, GPs are not psychologists. They will refer you to a professional who is trained in mental health and mental illness so that you can get the support that you need. Just like they would not operate on you if you have a heart attack, they will refer you to a cardiologist. They will not deal with your tummy issues if you have a gastrointestinal issues. They will refer you to a gastrointestinal surgeon or an expert. But they coordinate your care. So when you are going to them, you are allowing yourself to get to a safe space to discuss the things that are going on for you. So there are so much treatment. There is medication. Your GP might give you medication. The GP also will not be doing counseling for you because the counseling will be done by a psychologist or a counselor or another trained professional to be able to do that for you. But it's also important to recognize it's not only clinical treatment that is effective for depression. It is both the clinical treatment and what we call the non-clinical treatment. So the support of your family, your social network, people supporting you to think about the things that are impacting on your pain, the things that are causing that pain. Is it because things are happening at work? What can we do about it with work? Is it related to a relationship breakdown? What's going on there for you? Is it a domestic violence? What's going there for you? What other supports can we give you so we can scaffold you and keep you well? You know what I'm talking about? So there are a number of different things. Only clinical treatment without all these other things would not solve the issue of depression. So we need both.
Suppose you are undergoing treatment and you are given medications. And what to do when someone is afraid of taking medication?
I think people are afraid of taking medication because we, in the communities of the world, we have actually somehow thought we are experts in mental health. And we look at people who take medication a bit weird because somehow we think they should just snap out of it or they should just go on and get on with life. But if I have a headache, for example, I take medication to help me ease the headache. I might look into my life and think, what could be causing this headache? Is it because I'm not drinking much water? Is it because maybe I'm not sleeping well? Is it what is it, the stress? What's causing this? And if it continues to go on a day, 2, 3 days, 4 days, already 4 days, I realized actually I need to go and talk to the doctor, that the doctor can help me with this pain that I'm feeling. You wouldn't just keep taking the medication all throughout without talking to a professional. Now you recognize that there is a professional who can support you with medication for mental health. It is that professional who is recommending you to take the medication. So as a community, how dare we think we're experts in what is right and tell people not to take medication? It is the doctors, it is our psychiatrists, it's our clinical teams who are actually asking us to take medication for our own well-being. So we get better, and when we get better, we do better. Medication itself doesn't solve the whole issue of depression. Medication helps you, is a vehicle to bring you back to center and allow you to have in your body chemical processes to be in a certain point, so that you are then able to do all the other things that you need to do to help you get better. So it is critical that people take the recommendation for treatment as supplied by your professionals. I wouldn't challenge my doctor if my doctor tells me that I have a high blood pressure and I need to take medication. I don't tell my doctor, no, how dare you tell me that I have this illness and you give me a medication for it? Because I trust that the doctor is looking out for me and wants me to get well. That is why they're prescribing something for me that's going to help me. And the doctor might even tell you, well, you might need to lose weight. You might need to exercise. You might. So the fact that the medication itself, the doctor says this will help you. But in the long term, you're actually going to need to do all these other things in order to keep you well. So it is, and you might not need to be taking medication for the rest of your life. In fact, not many people take medication for depression for a lifetime, because they are only is able to stabilize you for a period where you are able to do other things until things start to work together again. And you would start, with the doctor's advice, reduce the doses that you are taking until you are completely off the medication.
As we are talking about the medication, you said previously that the GP may refer you to a psychologist. So want to know, I really want to know, what is the most effective between medication and counseling?
It works all together, absolutely together. Medication gives you, just as I said, it works on your body's chemical balances, the neurochemical balances that are off track when you experience depression. So that pill brings you back to center neurochemically. It doesn't solve the fact that you are thinking about this, or that you are feeling pain from whatever has happened in your life. So counseling will help you to start to unravel those knots, those mental knots that are there in your head, and start to take it all apart, so that you can start to do things differently, to think differently, to heal. So the medication doesn't heal you, it balances you, so that it gives you the opportunity to then do counseling, or talking to a counselor, or talking even to a friend, talking to a support person, people who are not going to judge you about these things that are causing you emotional pain. That safe space is actually so critical to help you then unravel the knots, the things that are causing the pain. Just like, when I need the massage and I feel pain in my body, and sometimes I go and massaged. I might have taken the pill for my headache or for a pain, but the massage just kind of, smooths the knots. So counseling and talking therapy, which is CBT, that psychologists will do and counselors will do, that type of talk therapy allows people to start. Many cultures have this a problem shared is a problem halved. So I always say one of the most effective thing, and the doctors will always tell you this, when you're in an illness, having a medication and all the other stuff that comes with the support system, the talk therapy, those two combinations are absolutely critical to you starting your journey to recovery from depression. And if you don't do this as recommended by your doctors, or you don't go to your doctor, or you don't go to a professional because you are afraid that people are going to judge you, people die. Suicide is one of the key things that happens when people are experiencing depression. In fact, the World Health Organization also say suicide is the leading cause of death. The leading cause of death for people between 15 and 29. So when young people between 15 and 29 are experiencing emotional pain, we're judging them. We're not supporting them to see the doctor. We're telling them not to take medication. We're saying as if we're experts in this illness. It is not just a sad face. It is not just a mood that's just going to go away. It is saying there is pain here that needs to be unraveled, and there is pain that needs to be healed. Let us support that person to go and get the support they need from the people who are trained to deal with these things so they can heal and be with us and contribute to a world.
Viewers, you are watching our first part of our tonight's program, Depression and Demonic Possession, two distinct concepts. We shall be right back after the break. Viewers, welcome back. We are still discussing about depression and demonic possession, two distinct concepts. And during this first part of our tonight's program, we are talking to Sharon Orapelen, who is the principal consultant at Site Solutions in the capital city of Sunshine State in Australia. So, tell us, Sharon, how large problem would you say that depression is among people living in developed countries?
It is huge. It is huge. It is a problem not only for developed countries, it's a problem even in what we call third world countries, because life experiences are everywhere, especially now. You know, we've just come out of, well, we are actually still experiencing the real impact of COVID-19. You know, people been able to have not been able to reconnect with family. People have not been able to travel. Sometimes we've watched our loved ones die in back in our countries of origin, and we are not able to go there and bury them. We had to resort to watching funerals through the online links, which is for many people from African backgrounds, especially. We know that that ritual of farewelling your loved one and participating in the process of burial is actually there to support the healing process for us, to the grieving process for the loved ones. So you find that we have been disconnected from the things that are protecting us from mental health issues because of COVID-19. Not only that, most of us we know I've had COVID-19. Many people already would have survived it, while others have not survived it. So people are already feeling a sense of guilt, a survivor's guilt. So how am I here when others have not been able to survive this? We have been able to, some people have lost their jobs because their jobs couldn't be sustained. They couldn't go to the markets anymore to sell their products because there were no markets as a result of the measures to control COVID-19. Life itself has just gotten tough, People are experiencing racism and discrimination. There is wars going on. We are watching traumas unfold around the world every day. We are consuming things that are causing us emotional pain. So when you ask me how large is the problem about depression, I will say to you, it is an everyday struggle for many people. And many do not necessarily go and get an illness as such, because they might have tools in place to deal with these things and these pains that are coming in to them. So they may never experience an illness as a depression, because they have things they can do every day to keep them well. However, many of us, because we don't talk about these issues, we haven't actually developed tools or strategies to help us to keep ourselves well, mentally well. Therefore, we are spiraling out of control because we're experiencing things, so much is happening, and we have no idea what we can do or who we can go to help us through these tough journeys of life.
So you have told us about how it affects us personally, and how does it affect people around us?
Oh, incredibly. Carers, those who love us, to see someone struggle, just like if I had a physical illness, what it means. If your mother was sick, your father was sick, or your child was sick, or a community member was sick, we often come around and try to help them. What do you need? We will cook for them, we will come and pray for them, we would help them to go and see the doctor. We help them to recover and be well again. But it's tough. But when it comes to mental illness, because the stigma and the discrimination, we even sometimes we push people away because we somehow expect them to snap out of it. We expect them to do some things that they are not physically capable to do due to the depression. So our expectation of them becomes too much. So what happens is, often you start to see the relationship breakdowns. You start to see the fights. You start to see the things that are not even helpful to the person who's experiencing the mental health issue themselves. And the children, the families, because when you no longer have joy in your life, if you no longer have, you no longer have joy, you no longer have hope, you no longer feel like you have purpose in life, what happens? You are not able to participate in life. So then people talk about the grief they feel, especially young people, the grief they feel when a parent or somebody in their lives is going through this, even though the person is already here, because they are not able to give themselves to others around them. So even though they might be physically present, they are mentally away. And that impact is incredible. So I always encourage even carers, support people to get the help themselves. That's why here in Australia we have mental health carers programs, so that connects carers and recognize the burden that people who are around those who support and love the person experiencing mental health issue actually need the support themselves.
Since we are talking, someone the other time asked me whether a person who is short-tempered, is that person suffering from mental illness?
The experiences of mental health issues they are so vast. Yes, somebody might have some emotional outburst. Somebody might have, cry a lot. Someone might, there are so many. It's not ever one thing that happens. It's never just one thing. And remember, mental health issues impact emotions, impact our thoughts, impact our behaviors, impact our engagement and functioning in our daily lives. So it's not just one thing. So if you see someone angry and having an emotional outburst, and then you conclude that that's mental illness, actually, you probably need to do some training and learn a bit better about what mental health issues are. However, like I always say, if there is anything that you're concerned about when you see from someone, ask them, are they okay? Talk to them about, if somebody's having anger issues, if those anger issues are not managed well, they can start to impact on all areas of their lives and end up being some catalyst towards some mental health issues. So it is important that if the anger issues are impacting on relationships, impacting on connecting with work and impacting on people's daily living, there is support for anger management classes that people can do so that they can deal with the causes of where that anger comes from. Maybe there has been some trauma in their lives that they know about or may not even know about. Not all the time do we know the things that have caused us pain in the past, or not all the time do we remember them, because as part of keeping us safe, our brains are so incredible. They can lock some things out of the consciousness so that that doesn't cause you pain anymore. But then behaviors are showing that there is something here more than what is just normal. Therefore, whenever we see something that is outside of the norm, we must be able to ask the questions: how are you doing? What's happening with you? Can you speak to someone about what's going on? There are people who can help you deal with this. These days, there are courses people can do online. You don't have to, even anger management classes online that you can do for free. You can learn. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. So we first need to recognize there is an issue so that we are able to do something about it.
If someone is watching this program tonight and feels that there is depression, what can they do?
The very first thing I'll recommend is talk to somebody about what's going on for you. Somebody safe, somebody who's not going to judge you, someone who's not going to dismiss your thoughts of pain, your thoughts and feelings of pain, someone who's not going to say to you, just harden up and toughen up. You've gone through the bad things in the past. You can, just go ahead and live life. Someone who's not going to dismiss you, someone who's going to see you and see your pain. And if you don't have those safe spaces in your community or in your family, I suggest you go and talk to your GP, your doctor. Your doctor can help you, connect you to all the help that you need. Okay? They're not just there for your physical health. They're there to help you navigate the things that happen in your body that we don't know about, we're not skilled about. Talk to professionals. Find out more. Go on online and Google what is depression. What does it look like? Those symptoms. Wherever you are, there will be a helpline that you can call. Here in Australia, there is helplines that people can contact to even just have a conversation with someone about what's going on for them privately, confidentially. Where people are not going to judge you. It is a critical component of recovery from depression is having a safe space to be real about what's going on for you.
And what about those who are living at the places where they are not, they don't have access? They don't have access to medical facilities. What can they do?
Safe spaces could be your grandmother. You're talking. I always share this story about a Zimbabwean program, which called the Friendship Bench, and your viewers can go and Google it and find out the information about it. In Zimbabwe, the psychiatrist recognized that many people, there were only about 14 psychiatrists for the whole of the population of Zimbabwe. So clearly clinical access to care would not happen. And what the catalyst for that clinician, that psychiatrist, to establish the Friendship Bench was because one of his patients ended up dying by suicide. And when he talked to the parent of that patient about why that patient didn't come to her, they were 200 kilometers away. Why the mother didn't bring the patient back to him to support the patient? The mother said they didn't have the money for the bus. to travel over to there. So lack of access or immediate access to care is an issue all across the world. So in Zimbabwe, they established the friendship bench. This psychiatrist recognized in every community their grandparents, their grandmothers. And grandmothers in African cultures, especially grandparents, there is a sense of wisdom that is associated and trust that is associated with being an elder. So he started training grandmothers across Zimbabwe to be in areas, in communities, and to become safe spaces for people experiencing depression, so that these grandmothers could do a layman CBT, talk therapy for people. So these grandmothers were able to be accessed by people all across Zimbabwe, and this has now gone to many other countries, including the US, as a program, because they were safe spaces for people to start to unravel what's going on for them. And it has saved lives. So for me, a program like that, when I say to people, safe spaces, non-judgmental spaces, where people can come and say, this is what I think is happening for me. I don't know what's going on. I feel like this. I'm not able to cook for my children anymore. I can't seem to want to get up and wake up. I just want to sleep all the time. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to face the world. I have no hope. I feel like I want to die. I don't want to be here. Being able to say that aloud to a safe space where you're not going to be judged, and then helped to deal with all of these causes of why are you here? Why am I here? What has happened? How can I get out of here? Being supported to do that, it is critical. So find safe spaces wherever you are. You know, in our cultures in Botswana, I know we all have that auntie that we can go and that would have all our secrets. You know, it's because in diaspora, for example, we are so disconnected to what used to be the support structure in our communities. You know, in our villages, you walk around, you can talk to your neighbors, you can share what's going on in your life. Even, you know, it's not necessarily going to therapy, but by doing that, you feel good. You feel like you've offloaded. You know, you're offloaded. You feel, when you're feeling heavy, you no longer feel heavy because you managed to share your problem with another person, and you're feeling like it might not be resolved, but because you've shared, the pressure has come down a bit, and you're able to then do other things. So it is absolutely critical that we have those safe spaces.
Viewers, you are still watching the first part of our tonight's topic, that is depression and demonic possession, two distant concepts. We have been talking to the principal consultant at Psych Solutions, that is Sharon Orapelen. As we are waiting to be joined by our second guest, we would like to really appreciate Sharon. Thank you for joining us, and we really thank your company and hope that the conversation will continue. For all those who got questions, please bindigital@gmail.com or to +61 424 871 170. Thank you. We shall be right back after the break.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome back. You are still watching Bin Television, and we are talking about depression and demonic possession, two distinct concepts. For the second part of our tonight's program, we are being joined by a minister live from Canada, and that is Minister John Salomo Kasongo. Is the minister of Église communautaire de la Rivière Rouge. Hello, Pastor. How are you?
Good. Thank
Welcome
you.
to, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
If I can go straight and ask you, Pastor, how do you tell if someone is demonic possessed, and what are the signs?
Yeah, you cannot tell by just seeing a person if the person is demonic possessed or not. Like for some sicknesses, you cannot just tell if the person is sick from this disease or not without going to the lab. The same apply to demonic possession. It's only the people who are led by the Spirit that can know if the person is possessed by demons or not. Because demonic possession um, deals with the third level of a human being, knowing that human beings, we work on three levels: the soul, body, and spirit. And demonic possession deals with spirit. So it's just when the person talks, acts, that you can acknowledge that this kind of behavior must be a demonic possession, yes or not. By just seeing or selecting few uh, behavior, you cannot determine or you cannot decide if it's really demonic possessed or not. For those who are uh, students of the Bible says you have to test every spirit to know if it comes from God or not. That's how we can determine if someone is possessed by demonic powers or not.
Can demons cause depression?
Yes, demons cause always depression. They just can. They always cause depression. Why? Because it's an external force, an external being living in the life of somebody. And whenever there is an external element added to the human being system, it causes negatively and impacts negatively the life of the person. When we talk about demonic possession, we are talking about an evil thing. We are not talking about something that will bring joy, peace, or celebration to someone. It's an element that will come to accomplish the task of his master, who is the devil. And the role of the devil is to kill, to destroy, to steal, just to make sure somebody is suffering. So it causes depression. It causes depression, and uh, it can cause, even at a high level, the person to die. So it can lead to death.
So, how should we help someone that they are demonic possessed?
We can help them by leading them to deliverance. The process of taking out the demonic forces that living in the person, because they just causes sicknesses, fatigue, and make the person suffer, and sometimes in great pain. We need to lead them through prayers, because through prayers we enter into the spiritual realm. And from there, for those who have the knowledge of dealing with demonic spirit, they will lead us through prayers, or lead the person through prayers, and a certain discipline for the person to be delivered, which can come out only by the name of Jesus. Otherwise, it's just witchcraft or magic that's going on. The only better and best way to take out demonic possession and to free the person is by the word of God, through prayers, and sometimes through prayers and fasting.
Is it advisable to tell a patient or a church member who is struggling that maybe they are possessed or they are possessed by demon? Is it advisable to tell someone who is struggling
Yes, it's not only advisable,
that they
it's a
are
must.
possessed by demon?
It's a must. It's not just an advice, it's a must. If we love the person, and if we need to help the person, if we come to a rescue of that person, it's a must. When we read the Bible in the book of Mark, chapter 5, from verse 1 to 20, we see that a demonic person was restored by the prayers of Jesus. Jesus could not let pass that event, because he knew that the outcome of demonic possession is suffering to the point of death. So we need to tell people, if we love them, to add not only advice, but to lead them to a deliverance, so that they may be free and rejoice and be peaceful and sleep peaceful, because sometimes they don't sleep.
Sometimes they don't sleep. Can you say that demonic possession affects our mental health?
Yes, it affects our mental health. Why? Because what we call mental, it goes with the spirit, it goes with the mind, it goes with the intellect, and that's where satanic powers work. So if your mind is not right, if your thinking is not right, you will start having bad feelings. You may welcome bad emotions that will lead you to do things that are not normal. Or reason why it's good, whenever we suspect a demonic possession or power working in somebody's life, we need to rescue the person. We need to deliver the person, so that the brother or the sister can be free to rejoice and to live a normal life like other human beings. Otherwise, it will affect, because anyway, the demonic possession will not be always in the mind of the person. There are times they come to their senses and they know that they are demonic possessed, it affects them. It affects their mind. It affects their lives.
It affects their mind, it affects their life. So, how, when dealing with people with demonic possession, should we take them aside or should we help them openly? I mean, openly or in a secret place?
It always depends on the event and how the problem occur. Mostly when it comes to the public and we need immediate intervention, we'll do it publicly. We'll call upon the name of God and seek for help of the Spirit of God and ask the power of God to free the person. Sometimes it demands immediate intervention. But for the dignity and the respect of the person, we always do aside the people. It's a private matter. We don't want people to feel rejected, to feel ashamed. When the demonic and the evil power comes out of their lives, that's why we do it with respect and dignity of the people who happen to be possessed by evil powers.
For those who are watching this program, what can you tell them as we are winding up?
We're going to tell them mental health and mental sickness is real. Demonic powers, demonic possession is also real. But we need people who have got the grace of God to observe and determine the right way to guide the people. Those who have been involved mostly in counseling, Christian counseling, they know their limits. They know how they can assist demonic possessed and when it's time to recommend them to heal with mental problems. We don't guess. We need people who have been gracious to have the gift of detecting and determining whether it's a mental health issue or a demonic possession.
Thank you so much. Viewers, you have been watching the weekly retro. We have been discussing about depression and demonic possession, two different concepts. And we were talking to Minister John Salomon Kasongo live from Canada. It has been a pleasure, Pastor, talking to you. And also, we thank your company and we thank all those who tuned to watch us live.
Thank you.
Viewers, remember, mental health is real. You can be affected. I can. We can all be affected if we don't take precautions. Thank you for watching our tonight's program. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. And remember to share this program with others. And don't forget to follow us at our all social media platforms. Until we meet next time on Bean Television. Bye.